This week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing the episode of ECW from August the 22nd, 1995. I am Nate Maxon, your host, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello.
And Mr. Chad Austin. Just kidding. Chad is not with us this week. He is under the weather.
Hey guys, how are you?
He is under the weather this week, and I was under the weather last week, which is why we didn't have an episode, and we didn't want you to have to wait 2 weeks to hear the greatness that is Reliving the Extreme. So Aaron and I are going to proceed without the star of the show this week. It'll be the lowest rated episode of Reliving the Extreme of all time. I think Aaron will agree with me on that.
All the times.
It's going to be, the ratings will be like a 95 raw, but that's okay. We're going to get this out here anyway. There wasn't a lot of meat on the bone for this ECW episode, so it was going to be a quick episode regardless.
Yeah.
It's that last show and a TV taping. We're heading into the next TV taping.
There's one like monumental moment in the entire show, and it's actually because the Public Enemy kind of popped me, but we'll get there. They made me laugh. We'll get there.
Just for those of you listening right now, I do want to remind you before we get into the episode of ECW, www.patreon.com/reliving the extreme. If you want to sign up for our Patreon, you can. What you will find there is when we're done with the episodes, every episode I put up the audio, the unedited audio and video of the shows immediately. So not only do you get the show early, but you also get all of the stuff that falls to the cutting room floor, which is actually sometimes more funny than the show. So
yeah, it's politically correct, quasi racist. It's kind of funny
sometimes, and there's different tiers. We haven't gotten anybody in the big tier yet. Where the big tier, if you do the $15 a month, not only do you get the bonus episodes of the show, the unedited video and audio of the show recordings, but you could also possibly be a co-host periodically on the show as well. So just if you like the show, if you want to support us, as little as $5 a month gets you in the door. Patreon.com/reliving the extreme. I think we have 1 subscriber right now. So it's not burning the world down, but just want to let you guys know you can help support the show through that.
It's a pack of Eagle. I'm trying to think of what those cheap cigarettes are. Yeah. It's a pack of American Eagle cigarettes a week for Nate.
When Suzanne Summers used to be like, for the price of a cup of coffee, you can support. Yeah, for the price of a pack of smokes, you can support this ballyhoo wrestling podcast.
I know SNL isn't the juggernaut that it used to be. Well, can I go on like a little SNL thing for a second?
Sure.
The way I look at it is SNL is kind of like the Daily Show. You know, like when Stewart quit, like my prime time of the Daily Show was Jon Stewart because I was older now and I understood it, you know, and he spoke to our generation. And then SNL is kind of the same way, you know, like you look at it now and you're like, oh, that's not that funny. You know, I don't think it's that funny anymore. But if I watch like SNL from the 70s, it's like, I think it's kind of funny, but I don't get all of it. But our mom and dad were like, oh, this is the funniest shit in the world, you know? And it was like a show. It's a show that speaks to like the age group that's watching it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, they did a thing, and when you brought up the cup of coffee thing, every once in a while they hit with a skit that I think is fucking funny. And there was one where it was Bill Hader, and he was like doing the price of a cup of coffee, and he's got like a white like pompadour thing going on and a beard, and there's like all these black people around him. He's like, for 99 cents, you can help these poor people. And like they're behind him, like, ask for more. And he's like, what? Why are you lowballing it? Ask for more. And it just keeps building up that they're like, why is he only asking for 99 cents?
That's funny.
Like, I might not be describing it as great as it is, but yeah, all these people are like, you've come here, you brought these cameras, and you're just asking for 99 cents a person. And then by the end of it, they're like, "Do you even know where you're at? Like, do you know what country you're in?"
You're advocating for, yeah. It's funny. Well, like I said, this episode that we're reviewing here of ECW is from August the 22nd, 1995, ECW Hardcore TV.
There's a lot of recap.
There is a lot of recap at the beginning, but what they're doing is they're interspersing recap with promos to lead up to Saturday's show at the ECW Arena. So there are some promos that are decent in here, obviously. Like they show us at the beginning the stuff from last week with Cactus Jack, Raven, Tommy Dreamer, etc. And then Cactus cuts a fantastic promo on being aligned with Raven.
Yep. And that was the promo from last week, which I mean, it needed to be reshown again. But it's like I said, I think 2 weeks ago, it's Pulp Fiction in its infancy. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Paul realized what he was doing at the moment, but then was like, oh man, this could be good shit.
Right. And we're not too far off from Pulp Fiction, actually, I don't believe. Because I think the Steve Austin stuff is coming up where he's, with Bongo and he's dressed like Bischoff and stuff. And I think that's at the end of a Pulp Fiction, maybe. We'll see if I remember incorrectly. But then they show us footage of Woman Sandman and Mikey Whipwreck and their ongoing feud. And then Woman and Sandman, cut a promo on Mikey and the Public Enemy because they're going to be teaming with the Gangstas to face Public Enemy and Mikey Whipwreck. Or Sandman's going to be teaming with the Gangstas to face Public Enemy and Mikey Whipwreck. I'll get to the point, I swear.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool that the Public Enemy's like taking Mikey under their wing or whatever. Like I enjoy this.
Yeah, it's actually, and it's in my notes here when we get to them and their promo. This is the most entertained I've been by the Public Enemy with their little thing with Mikey and their feud with the Gangstas. This is the first time where I can say I'm entertained by Public Enemy. And it might be the only time I'm entertained by the Public Enemy. Up next, we get footage of JT and Hack from last week. JT Smith and Hack Myers and JT's bump from last week. And then we show him and his face looks like he has a tumor.
Yeah, and his face is all swelled up, so he's more mush mouth than he was previously.
And essentially the gist of this is we now have a JT Smith sort of heel turn, I guess you'd say. Because somehow the fact that he fucked up is Hack Myers' fault. And I don't know if he did that intentionally, but it was funny.
He's also mad at the fans, though. That's the other thing, because he's talking about how he's going out there doing all this stuff and falling on my face, and it would be better if they had a better guy that could, if they had a guy that could talk better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But
yeah.
JT, I'm not knocking JT, but I'm going to see how it goes. But that's the story of the thing. JT's putting his life on the line, and these fans are booing him, and he doesn't respect the fans now.
That's what I was about to say. I actually have on my note here. It's pretty much an I don't get no respect promo, because he's saying I don't get respect, so now I'm just going to start taking respect. Yep. And like you said, we'll see where it goes with JT. To be honest, my muscle memory, I don't remember off the top of my head. I know eventually he winds up in the FBI, but that's the thing about doing this show too, is probably over the years, I actually discover things watching this show because I didn't watch ECW. ECW is of the big three, quote unquote, of that era, the one that I paid the least attention to at the time. So
we didn't have as much.
Right. That's true. But there's so much of it that when we watch it, I'm like, I kind of knew this happened, but sometimes it is like, I don't really know where this is going. I know where the main shit's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like we read about Raven and Tommy in the magazine and everything, but we didn't have a lot of this shit back home. So
right.
It's old new. You know what I mean?
Up next, more recapping. We get footage of the cat fight between Beulah and Francine. And then Beulah cuts a promo on Francine. Beulah shouldn't cut promos.
I didn't write down her promo verbatim, but you know what cracked me up the most about her promo is they put the camera on her and she goes, "Hi, I'm Beulah McGillicuddy." Like, I've never seen a person cut a wrestling promo where the first thing they say is, "Hi."
They start out with a warm welcome.
Hi. And it turns into like, "Oh, this bitch, I'm gonna take her out. She's a complete slut." She's just like, "Hi, I'm Beulah McGillicuddy." Like, all right, thank you for your introduction, pretty lady. I appreciate that. The opening of her promo is, "Hi."
And I think she says something to the effect of, "I'm the hottest thing going. I'm not just the hottest thing going in ECW. I'm not just the hottest thing going in wrestling. I'm the hottest thing going, period." You know, something to that effect. But yeah, you're right. I guess I didn't even catch that she started out with just a hi.
Hi.
It's like when the Joker sees Two-Face in the hospital. He's like, hi.
Hi. And he's got his fucking ridiculous makeup and his hair, and he's wearing a fucking candy striped outfit, and he just burned the left side of this guy's face off, and he's just like, "Hi."
Hi. Perfect. Up next we get more footage recapping all that we've seen, the greatness of Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko, and then Eddie cuts a promo on the fact that he and Malenko this Saturday are going to have a 2 out of 3 falls match for the TV.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest promo in the world. He almost he kind of sounded like the little engine that could.
Eddie and anybody that has listened to any of our shows on the network knows how much I love Eddie Guerrero. He's one of my five. I know, but I'm gonna. He's one of my 5 favorite pro wrestlers of all time. But unless Eddie is being allowed to cut either a fun loving Eddie promo or a super intense Eddie's like just chugging along promos, they're not great. I mean, you still love him. You know what I mean? It's like when he cut the promo on Bischoff and he's like, and you know what? You could take this job and shove it up your, you know what? You know, just, you know, so
what? And like I said, it's not bad, but it just kind of came off as, I don't want to, like, it didn't seem like an ECW promo. You know what I mean? But Eddie also, to me, when I think of Eddie, I don't think of ECW, and when I think of ECW, I don't think of Eddie either. So
right.
Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking about it when I was watching this episode. This is August 22nd. We're like a month away from no more Eddie, no more Dean, no more Benoit. They're all going to WCW here in like a month and a half. So
we're almost like an episode away from it.
Yeah, because Nitro, I think Benoit was on the first Nitro, either the first or second Nitro, and Nitro's coming up within like 3 weeks of this. So anyway, but Eddie, he tried. But the next promo, I wrote, oof. Like, again, another wrestler. I love him in the ring, but we got a Too Cold promo. We've talked about it on the show before. And this promo is the worst because he's doing that laugh through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a shitty fucking promo.
I don't know. How many times can you say you dropped the bomb on Taz? Just love Too Cold. No disrespect, but man, and they let him talk too long.
Yeah, and it's like people talk about when he got into the WWF, and I agree that he shouldn't have been Flash Funk. You know, right? Like he should that was a dead gimmick. Like they should have just let him be Too Cold Scorpio. I'm not gonna say they shouldn't, but when he got there, I think somebody realized it's like, Jesus Christ, this guy can't fucking talk. He looks amazing, and he's one of the fucking in that time frame. You can tell me if I'm wrong. He's one of the top 10 fucking wrestlers on the planet.
Yeah, no doubt.
But he can't speak. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, we gotta sizzle him up with something. So let's put a big hat on him and some good looking black chicks. But yeah,
Yes,
the Too Cold, terrible promo, but everything else about him is fantastic.
absolutely. Then we get a Taz and Steiner's promo from the Steiner's gym.
Which is just the ECW dojo.
Yeah. And now here we go with the Public Enemy and Mikey thing, and this is fun. You wanna roll through this?
Well, I don't have a lot of notes on it, but it's the Public Enemy with Mikey Whipwreck, and they're trying to toughen up Mikey. So they are going to send Mikey into the alley, and they send him down the alley, and he doesn't want to go, but he's going to do it. And you hear a bunch of screams and bottles breaking, this, that, and the other thing. And then Mikey, as he's getting beat up, is when Public Enemy popped me. Because Johnny Grunge says, "Gangstas, you've been down south this whole time beating up old teeny boppers, and the Smothers Brothers." And the Smothers Brothers don't mean anything. I just thought it was funny they said this.
I really like this whole thing because essentially what's happening is they're cutting, like Aaron said, they're cutting their promo on the Gangstas, and then Mikey comes back.
And he's lost his watch and his wallet.
He's been mugged. And he's like, I've been mugged. And it's great. It's so funny because now he's going to cut a promo while the Public Enemy go attack his mugger. It's just really fun. It's actually really funny.
Get his watch and his wallet back, and then we got your stuff back, Mikey.
And then they wind up giving him an extra wallet as well.
Yes. And he's like, thank you. And then he's like, Gangstas, my mom told me, like, I don't know verbatim what he says, but he's like, Gangstas, my mom told me if you guys do anything to me, we're going to phone the police. But Sandman, I'm going to beat your ass. I'm going to take you out. Like, he's not afraid of the Sandman.
Nope.
But he's terrified of the Gangstas.
And I think I wrote this down, and we can ask Chad next week. These three guys, and I think it sounds like you agree with me, these three guys are really good together.
Yeah, they are.
Like
it
isn't something you could have done forever, but for this whole thing really, like, it has legs. It holds water. It's fun.
Yeah, it gives PE. I don't want to say like I've talked about times where they're like childish with their promos or whatever, and I didn't like it, but it almost gives like a reason for them to be kind of childlike. You know what I mean? Like they're these badass guys, but here's this kid. So they're like, we like this kid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. It's just I don't have the words for it, but it's like these guys are taking a passion on this kid, you know, and they don't go into the backstory of it, but they're like, yeah, this kid beat us. You know what I mean? So he's badass, and we got to get out of him. Yeah, he's all right. He doesn't know how tough he is, and that's kind of where I was getting at, where it's almost like PE is bringing out the toughness that Mikey didn't know that he had, you know?
Right. But yeah, overall, like I said, I found this segment entertaining. And then we roll into what is our long feature match of the week. Originally, again, they say it was supposed to be Too Cold, Dean Malenko, and Chris Benoit against the Steiners and Eddie Guerrero, but they mentioned Chris Benoit getting injured by Sabu in Japan. So Too Cold and Malenko come out for the match. They don't have a partner. And then we flip to this weird Bill Alfonso is in Switzerland thing.
Yeah. That was them just putting ECW shirts on quasi good looking blonde chicks.
And was he even in Switzerland? He might have been on the Jersey Shore. I don't know.
Yeah, he was in Florida.
But they have him. He goes up to this blonde girl who's wearing an ECW shirt. And he's like, "Why do you like ECW?" And then she talks, and then he goes, "I don't have any idea what she said, Daddy, but they like ECW in Switzerland."
And then he got maced off camera, probably. This is probably where he lost his teeth. And somebody bigger than him punched him.
Some big Swede, some big Viking fuck. Some big
Ludwig
Viking.
Borga knocked his fucking teeth out.
So we come back to the 6-man, and Raven comes out. And in the oddest way to introduce a tag team partner ever, like Scott Levy just went out there with this when he looks at Scorpio. And he's like,
he gave Too Cold's Cactus Jack is like reparations.
Yes, he's like, your people have been disadvantaged and blah blah blah. So I want to offer you this tag team partner, Cactus Jack. And I was just like, what a way to go at this. That was just very, I mean, it was very Scott Levy, don't get me wrong, but it was very odd.
And Too Cold's wearing a neon diaper.
Yeah, he had like his he was wearing a look like he was the little swimmers you put on little kids.
Yeah, wearing a neon diaper. It looked like he put on a little swimmers over his fucking huggies.
That's gonna be the name of this episode, Lil Swimmers.
Or I thought he had neon diaper. But anyway. Yeah.
So the match Raven is set here. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
No, I was gonna say Raven gave Too Cold Cactus Jack as reparations. He's like, here's your 2 acres and a mule. It's a fun Cactus Jack here. There you go, buddy.
Well, before the match starts, Cactus cuts a promo where he says that the Steiner brothers are the most over tag team he's ever seen. The most overrated and overpaid tag team he's ever seen. I thought that was a nice turn of phrase from our man Cactus Jack.
Yeah. And it's kind of like what we talked about on my show, where this guy can get away with it because these guys like him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, if that would have been, I don't know, somebody like Shane or something saying that about him, it's like, well, we're gonna drop this guy in his fuck. But it's Mick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not gonna get Mick's not getting any receipts.
Yeah. Nicest guy in the world. He's all right.
And also, I mean, Mick's one of those guys where you'd think they'd probably be like, even if we did give him a receipt, he's taking much worse even than what we can give him.
Yeah. But he's I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but I know at times we've talked about that he's got like a kind of a not a big ego about himself, but like, you know, whatever. But as a dude, he's almost on that like Owen level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, have you ever heard anybody else ever say, "Oh, Mick Foley's an asshole"?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, we'll let him do that. But if that would have been anybody else, like, oh, the Steiner brothers, they're overrated and overpaid. If anybody else would have said fucking that.
Big bag of potatoes. Well, it's one of those things where we always say the match was good. I watched it. I didn't take a lot of notes on it. I just put a great back and forth 6-man tag. Did you have any notes on the match itself that I didn't write down before we go to the finish?
Nope. Just that Too Cold was wearing a neon diaper and
the crescendo.
Too Cold had a neon diaper on.
The crescendo of this match is great. The end is fantastic because they do 3 different spots with the Steiners taking each of their opponents up onto their shoulders so Eddie can do a drop kick or a Hurricane Rana or whatever off of those 2 to every one of their opponents, which I thought was really cool. But even cooler was after all that, getting the fans so into it, what great heel heat is after all that goes down, Dean still wins with a victory.
Yeah, and it was all good, and they're not long for the world of ECW, but I'm like glad they went back to WCW or whatever because I got to watch it. But I wish Rick and Scott would have had a longer time in ECW.
They fit in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially Rick. Like Rick was custom made for a
Yeah.
and a mad and we might get it. I don't remember if we don't, but imagine like a fucking Pitbull Steiner Brothers match. God damn.
I don't think that ever happened, but it would have been great.
Yeah. Or a Steiner Brothers Gangstas feud. Good lord. Would have been great.
Like I said, the heels win this match as Dean Malenko gets that victory roll on Eddie Guerrero, heading into their 2 out of 3 falls match coming up at the show on Saturday at the ECW Arena. And then we get footage of a cane match. It's a non-title cane match where the loser has to get 10 lashes from a cane. It's Mikey versus Sandman. And my first note here, and this goes back to what we were just talking about how I didn't, back in the day, I didn't pay as much attention to ECW as I am as we're re-watching it now here in 2023. One of my notes is watching this match, Mikey Whipwreck is so much better than I remember.
Oh, he was a bump master.
Like, I guess I just didn't pay attention and appreciate it as much, 20 something years ago, almost 30 years ago. That dude was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah,
what a worker.
Yeah, he was a good little worker. He took great bumps, and he had good psychology when he was in the ring, in my opinion, and he knew when to not oversell, and he knew when to look like he was getting his ass beat, and
his that jump up Hurricane Rana thing that he does is one of the coolest fucking moves I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. and like it is, but like one of the coolest things about him is his just, I don't want to say this, like his ability to like throw off a move perfectly but make it look like it was a complete fluke.
Right.
Like that, like the cross body when he pins Hack. You know what I mean? It's like it looks like a complete fluke. And I'm sure I'm not gonna take anything away from Hack. Hack had something to do with it, But it's just the dude. You're right. Mikey was really good. Like really, really good.
Yeah, and like I said, I guess just again because it was 1990s and everything, and back then, Aaron knows, back then I was like a super, this is 90s. I'm in my teens, you're picking your party or whatever, and I was a big WWF guy. I watched WCW, and ECW was in the peripheral. But now that we're going back and watching all this for the show, I'm noticing things that I didn't notice back then, and that's definitely.
I also noticed that Sandman dug in his ass on television. He's like when he had Mikey off on the rail, and like he kind of like jumped over his Zubobs got like stuck up in his crack, and he was like, "Yeah, I gotta pull that out.
Gotta do some spelunking.
Yeah, I gotta go ahead and do that." Oh shit! Like I did the 20 seconds back on my Roku. I'm like, I think Sandman just dug in his ass on television. It's like, yeah, he did.
Well, Mikey winds up beating Sandman. The match is an afterthought, really, but Mikey beats Sandman, and so now the story is the Sandman has to take 10 lashes from the cane. He refuses to do it initially. The referee then says, Sandman, if you do not take the 10 lashes from the cane, I will strip you of the ECW championship right now, and I'll give it to the last guy that pinned you, which happened to be Mikey Whipwreck.
And Woman's like,
Yes, yeah. The story here is Sandman's like, fuck it, I don't care. Take the title. And Woman's like, the title is the money. You will take the cane lashes.
And Sandman somewhat takes it.
I think he gets up to 6.
I think so.
And once he gets up to about 6, then woman. I didn't like this because she went back on her thing. Like, she looks stupid in there.
Kinda.
Because she winds up taking the cane from Mikey. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't understand. I guess I understood her character's motivation when the caning thing started. I didn't understand her motivation by going against her own word 2 minutes later.
I thought it might be because, I don't want to say it, like she wanted her charge to take the cane shots, but then when it started, she was like, shit, I don't want him to be weakened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was it. I don't know.
So yeah, Woman takes the cane from Mikey. Mikey kisses Woman, and I think Joey even says he kissed his first girl or something to that effect. But so that happens, and then Sandman canes the ever-loving shit out of Mikey Whipwreck. That cane is like in shards. And the referee now threatens Sandman again with the title being revoked, saying if you don't stop caning Mikey, I'll take the title. So he stops, but he will not leave. Anything else to add to that?
Nope. No, chaos ensues.
Yes, and this is another place where one of the Public Enemy popped me. The Public Enemy comes out, and Johnny Grunge tells Sandman to take his raggedy ass hoe and go. I laughed at that too. Public Enemy, this is like Public Enemy's best episode of ECW.
Like, let them be themselves. You know what I mean?
Take your
don't have to be like, oh, Johnny, take his hoe away.
Take your raggedy ass hoe and go.
Yes.
But Public Enemy winds up fighting with Sandman. Then the gangsters come out. So we get, and I think, okay, so the gist of this is, at first I thought it was just going to be a brawl thing, but apparently this led into a stretcher match, a double stretcher match.
Yeah. It's
the gangsters of Public Enemy. So that starts, Johnny Grunge puts New Jack through a table, and he gets stretchered out. I don't dig this. I have my reason, and the reason I say this is I don't dig this because these guys have wrestled such extreme things and gone through so many tables and shit that in the context of it, it doesn't make sense that Jack goes through one table and he's stretchered out.
Yeah, it's convoluted.
I mean, I understand you're doing what you're doing. It's fine. But I found it silly. Then Mustafa, he sprays Johnny Grunge with the mace. And that makes Johnny Grunge get stretchered out. Ultimately, Rocco Rock puts Mustafa through a table. And he gets stretchered out. So technically, the Public Enemy have won this stretcher contest. I don't know if it was official or what, but then Sandman comes out, Mikey comes out, insanity ensues. We're heading for the 6-man tag on Saturday, and that's a wrap on the show. Did you have any other notes on that segment?
Nope. You summed it up, because literally my note is footage of Public Enemy versus the Gangsters.
Well, all right then. So there you have it. They're setting up the show for Saturday, which is just an ECW arena show, so it's not anything that we'll be reviewing as a show. I'm sure clips of it and footage from it will be on our next TV shows, though. And
you said you had a question, though, right?
I do, but before I do that, like we always do on the at the end of the show, what kind of a grade? What do you rate this episode of ECW TV?
I'll give my grade, and I was asking that question because I was going to say before we answer the question, I'm going to pee, but I'll give it a C-. I wasn't a big fan of this show.
I agree. It was just there. It was a nothing burger. I mean, the Sandman Mikey thing is probably the most important thing on the show.
Yeah. But it was just blah.
But yes, I do have a question from from one of our listeners, and you can send me any questions you have at relivingtheextreme@gmail.com. if you ever want to ask us a question here on the show. And this one I might ask of Chad next week also, because I would be interested in his answer. This is from a listener named Gary. I'm assuming not Gary Wolf, because Chad says he's dead. So I'll pose this question to you, Aaron. And then I added a little caveat to the question because the listener wasn't specific. So I kind of made my own judgment here. His question is, Gary's question is, and thank you for your question, Gary. But his question is, if ECW didn't make it, which ECW originals would still have had a good career and who would have washed out on the indies? So instead of going through and just randomly naming names, I decided I would get some names together and ask you. So you understand the question, obviously.
Yeah, like who would succeed, who would fail? And
yes, if ECW didn't,
you don't want me to say right off the top of my head. You want me to answer by your litmus test or whatever here, right?
Well, I mean, it depends. If you want, I can go through. I just, there's some guys that, like, I would say, based on Gary's question, I wouldn't say Shane Douglas, because Shane Douglas had a career before he, like he wrestled. So like, for example, who would have just kind of washed out on the indies or whatever, and who would have made it to the big time and still been successful?
All right. I'll give you one of each, and then you can read I think out of everybody in it, like, are we talking to the end of it? Like that's the question.
I mean, I don't know. So go ahead. Whatever you think. He wasn't specific there. He just his wording is ECW originals. So
I think Sandman. I think Sandman would have floundered because neither company would have. And I'm not knocking Sandman because I love Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but I don't think either company would have looked at that guy and been like, "Oh, we want that guy."
And he was actually one. He was one of the people that I wrote down, and he was one of the people that I said would have probably just washed out.
Sandman would have washed out, and I think Sabu would have been a big deal.
I agree. Sabu probably would have been that guy that, say, 94, 95, went to Japan, made a name for himself, and then honestly, probably WCW would have. He'd have got to WCW. But he'd have got to WCW before he got to Vince.
Yeah. But those are my two. But read your list, bro.
And I agree with you on Sabu. What about Tommy Dreamer?
Floundered.
I think Tommy Dreamer probably winds up. I think Tommy Dreamer probably winds up with Vince during the downtime, like Tom Brady. Doesn't go anywhere.
What happened with
doesn't?
Do you know what I think? You know what I think? What happened with Tommy? Honestly, this is totally my opinion. You know what I think would have happened with him?
What's that?
I think he would have got with Vince, floundered, but then been able to accept the role that Vince wanted Scott Levy to have. Where he would have been in mind, like a creative guy behind the scenes. Like I don't think Tommy would have like on-screen career, but I think Tommy would have been a bigger behind the scenes talked about guy. That's what I think would have happened with him.
And I don't have Raven on my list because, again, I didn't put down anybody that had a career before, or not a career. I mean, a non-indie career before, like nobody that had ever been to the WWF or WCW. What about Stevie Richards?
He would have been a job guy, either company.
Don't hate him. Probably he wouldn't have made it. He wouldn't have made it above the level of a good enhancer.
Not big enough.
And he wouldn't have been. Because he wasn't big enough and didn't have a great look. He wouldn't have been given the opportunity to show his personality.
Yeah.
Okay. The Eliminators. Hmm.
I think they would have been. I think they would have made it.
I agree, and I said the same thing about the Pit Bulls.
I'd go WCW with them, but yeah, I think they would have made it.
And of course, this is ignoring anybody's booger sugar picadillos or whatever. We're just talking.
That's why I'm going WCW with those guys. They're extracurricular. I can't speak.
Extracurricular.
You know what I'm saying?
activities.
Their after school actions would have made them bigger stars in WCW.
What about? And this is a personal one for me because I don't know why. I personally could see Francine, and she didn't actually. She didn't like make it, and I don't know why. Because I personally think Francine's fucking hot. I always have, even now. I think she's beautiful.
Vince thought she was ugly.
Yeah, well, fuck Vince.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying he's wrong or right or anything, but that was Vince. I think Francine would have made it in WWF.
And she also not only do I think she's hot, but I think she could pull off, or she did not could, she did. She pulls off the annoying Jersey girl gimmick better than anyone that's ever done it.
Oh yeah,
I'm a fucking Francine fan. I don't know.
You put her with the right guy in the WWF, she would have been.
What about our favorites, the Public Enemy? Oh yeah, definitely. They proved it, actually.
Yeah. I think Rocco by himself would have been a thing, but with that Boulder Johnny Grunge on him.
I just have two more names written down, and if you have any others you can think of, it's fine. You can throw them out there. But the only other two that I had written down were Blue Meanie.
Floundered.
Yeah, he never got past his weight. Not that he wasn't entertaining, not that he wasn't good for what he was,
If he's not with Stevie and Raven, what is he? And I'm not knocking him, but he doesn't have like Raven doing that with him.
And my last one, last but not least for me, the only other that I could think of off the top is the Dudleys. And that's a big one because when they did hit it in the WWF, they became one of the biggest tag teams of all time. But if ECW doesn't make it, do they ever get that attention?
Together? Like if you see these two guys, how do I ask this? If you look at these two guys and you look at them as a tag team, I would think either company would bring them in. But as it goes, and this might sound silly, but if I bring these guys in as a team and I'm like, they're kind of just there, and one of these guys is going to be the guy, I'd honestly would have looked at Devon as being the guy.
Well, and yeah, and it adds another wrinkle to it also. And I didn't even think about this, but it adds another wrinkle to it because without ECW, they aren't the Dudley Boys, and there's not that story. So they're just Mark LaMonica, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
And Evan Hughes or whatever.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'd lead towards Devon. If I gotta cut one of these guys, I'm gonna cut Bubba and I'm gonna keep Devon. Because he's built like a shit brick house and he can fucking talk. Bubba could talk at that point, but he's fucking 350 on the hoof. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, man.
Is there anybody else you can think of?
Trying to think of 2 or 3 guys. We're talking the entire history of ECW, right?
Yeah, as long as their first big impact was there.
All right. Nova.
Yeah. I think WWF. He had. I hate to say this because he is a bit better of a worker, but look wise, I think Vince would look at him in the same vein as a Tommy Dreamer or a Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of good-looking New Yorker guy look.
All right, and then I'll go because this guy didn't do anything out of ECW, honestly, and I'm not knocking him for it. Chris Chetty.
Chris Chetty is, unfortunately, I look at Chris Chetty as a bit player wrestler. I don't look at Chris Chetty as I don't know, like Chris Chetty, unfortunately, to me is like those fucking guys, the heartthrobs.
Yeah. I got one more guy then.
All right.
Because he works with these guys. I think, well, he worked with one of them. Roadkill.
And Roadkill didn't he wind up working for the WWE CW?
He did for a minute.
It's funny because I don't know, because what I remember about him isn't so much his work. What I remember about him is that I laughed when he said chickens. But how much does that gimmick carry you? How long
the gimmick?
Right. And to be perfectly honest with you, his work I don't even remember enough about to even make an educated guess.
Can I say this about Roadkill? And we're going to get there eventually. He wasn't as big as this guy, but he was kind of the similar build and style. Roadkill actually reminds me a lot, or I shouldn't say reminds me because they were working at the same point or whatever, but he's kind of like a Bam Bam Bigelow. You know, where he's like he's not the biggest dude in the world, but he's not small, but he could fucking move. Like Roadkill was working with like Chris Chetty and all these guys and was like keeping up with them and shit. Like I think Roadkill was like a victim of circumstance or whatever in his time, where he was a guy that got over right when ECW ended and right when WCW ended, and all these contracts were being handed out to guys, and he just wasn't somebody that was a big enough name because he never got the opportunity to be a big enough name. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we'll get to him like in another
couple of years
show, but yeah, I think Roadkill's underrated.
Before we sign off, a name I just thought of that we talked about earlier. I don't know why I didn't put him on my little list I had here. What about Mikey? What happens to Mikey?
Mikey's totally WCW.
So you think he makes it, though? You think he makes the cut?
For WCW? Yeah. He doesn't stand a chance in WWF. But WCW, he would have made it.
All right. Well,
if we're going not looking at the career that he had in that fucking company. Right. But if ECW would fold in like 96, yeah, Mikey would have made the grade.
I agree. Well,
he would have had enough of those guys in that division that would have been like, yeah, this guy's good.
Well, thank you, Gary, for your question, and thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for carrying the show since Chad wasn't here. And I want to thank everybody for listening. And Aaron, do you have any parting words for our listeners this week?
Well, I want to thank Gary Wolf for his question, and I want to thank everybody for listening to the Reliving the Extreme podcast. I don't like to Barry Horowitz myself very much, but it was an idea that I had, and from what Nate tells me, it's our most listened to show on the good old WrestleNet radio podcast family. So I appreciate that. And if you enjoyed this show, I would really appreciate if you guys listen to Archie's show, Mark's show, Nate's show, my show, all the other ones on here. They're all good. They're all great. And
listen to the heart or the beginning of the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network, also the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And you know what? As a bonus on this episode, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back and find the audio for an episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Well, Chad will still be on the show this week. I'm going to go back and find the audio from an episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast called Silky Boom Bang Bottoms, or whatever it was called, where the three of us got hammered and went through random names from the 2001 Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500.
That was never a show?
No, it was. It was a We Can't Wrestle podcast. What I'm saying is I'll go back, find it, and add it to the end of this. You can listen to it if you've never listened to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. And maybe that will entice you to check out the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Billy Gunn needs a meatball sub. It's fantastic.
Well, that being said, everybody, we'll see you next week. And keep listening, because there's going to be another 2 hours of the show, apparently, because I'm going to add that fucker to it. So we'll see you next time around. Chad will be with us. We hope he feels better. Send Chad your well wishes.
I hope he's alive.
Aaron says, we hope the last text we got from him wasn't the last text we got from him. But thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for your support. Check us out on Patreon. Check out the other shows on the network, and we will see you next time here on Reliving the Extreme. Have a great week, everybody.
If it is RIP, brother, we'll try to get Tommy Cairo to replace you.
Chad Austin has joined Gary Wolf,
Yes.
who is also not dead.
Listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Now it's time for our host, Kate Manson.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you. And this week on the show, we're going to be doing one of our free-form shows where I'm just going to invite people in, co-hosts in, and see who joins us and who doesn't. You never know who's going to show up when we do one of these shows. But no set topic, no anything like that this week, just free-forming it. And before we do that, I want to remind you, if you have not yet, please check out WrestleNet Radio. It is 24/7, 365, an internet wrestling radio station. Episodes of the We Can't Wrestle podcast there. We have shows like The Slice of Time, where we talk about 25 years ago in professional wrestling, all the news and notes. Aaron has a show, The Year That Was. Right now it's 1997 that he's discussing week to week, the year of 1997. Of course, Archie Mitchell, and If You Smell What the Arch Is Cooking, Maximum Gold with David Gold. And we are now proud to have the Tornado Tag podcast as part of the rotation in WrestleNet Radio as well. Keep listening. Many more things going on. And, of course, episodes of Reliving the Extreme are available as well on WrestleNet Radio. So just want to say that, let you guys know that that is available. You can download it from the apps, the Google App Store, the Play Store, whatever you want to call it, on Google. Your Google, and get an app to listen to the station 24/7, 365. Pro Wrestling Talk. I'm going to try to get my first co-host in here. It's probably going to be Aaron. That's probably what I'm guessing. But again, thank you for joining us once again here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Lots of stuff coming up. Don't forget also, we will be in Fort Wayne, Indiana on October the 2nd of this year for the Heroes and Legends of Wrestling show. Very excited for that. My brother Aaron has now joined me here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Going to try to get some other folks in here with us as well.
Did you let him know what's free balling tonight?
I hear the crickets. Aaron's. It's like a 1994 WWF TV taping.
That's crickets.
That's the most boring year, I think. At least in that company's history.
In that company it is. The most boring year in WCW is 1995 when Hogan finally started swinging his dick.
Yeah.
That was bad.
It was pretty bad. Well, and it was so fucking cheesy. All of it was so cheesy.
Yeah.
when he goes into the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, and it's not even like the Dungeon of Doom stuff. I'm not saying it's boring. It was just a boring promotion at that time. It was stagnant.
Yeah.
It had like Hogan. Yeah, I can see that. Savage. Yes. But some of those guys, the reason they weren't with Vince anymore is because Vince knew those guys are old and boring now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to John Tenta, but nobody wanted to see John Tenta anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was just, it was what it was, and yeah, it was bad.
It's terrible. It's just terrible.
I didn't mean to interrupt your plugs.
Oh no, I was done with that.
Okay,
that's over.
Well, are we gonna get anybody else?
I am working on that.
All right.
It may just wind up being me and Aaron. It doesn't. It's fine. It's okay. I know Archie Mitchell was going to join us, but he has some personal matters to take care of. He may wind up joining if he can make it. We're going to talk for, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours here. Just do some bullshit talking about pro wrestling and any other thing that might come up.
You guys are going to hear me cutting a pizza?
You'll hear Aaron cutting a pizza.
Yes.
You might hear me, leave to go pee. That's what happens when we do one of these shows. But
second shifters, we like me eat dinner at 11.
That's the beauty of retail, ladies and gentlemen.
Thing.
And I have the retail. Like my retail schedule is like a swing shift kind of schedule: open, close, open. I have no internal clock whatsoever. Like I try to sleep when I can, but
I always close.
That sucks.
It closes 8 o'clock though. I go in at 10. I leave at 8.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Wake up.
You don't have to wake up super early, and you're not at work super late.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
So what was something that you had that you wanted to talk? Because I actually am piggybacking off of you on this one because I was going through, since I just moved everybody, I'm going through stuff that I haven't gone through in a while. And I got into some old magazines, and I found the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 from 2001. So we might play the PWI 500 game at some point.
All right. Yeah, whoa. Chad's going to be on in a second.
All right, Chad Austin.
When worlds collide, people. Reliving the extreme, joining together.
Yes, joining forces. Chad Austin from ECW, our co-host for the Reliving the Extreme podcast, is going to be joining us here shortly. We may even have an appearance from the ever-elusive Kyle Army, but you never do know if he's going to make a run-in or not.
Yes.
I did send him an invite, so he has been invited. He has been thoroughly invited to join us this week. So what was on your agenda for this free-form edition of the show?
It was like last minute trying to think of stuff. Why don't we do your PWI thing for a little bit?
All right. So what it is Aaron's done this before on the show. He had an edition of the PWI 500 that he and essentially just had everybody else call out a number, and then you read the bio of the cat that the people call the number out for. So let's see here. What do we got going on? All right. Chad is currently holed up in a hotel in an undisclosed location.
Waiting the police.
He said, "What show is this?" Sorry, listeners.
How you gonna edit?
So anyway, all right. So let's see. Aaron, give me a number.
22.
22. I wasn't expecting you to give me a number that high. Flipping through the pages here. Number 22, 2001, PWI 500. Dr. Wagner Jr. 5'9", 215, 15 year, or 50, is it 15 years pro? Let's see. No. Yeah, 15 years pro. Masked Rudo is hated in his native Mexico, but is well respected in Japan. Wrestles for EMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and other promotions. Brother of Silver King and Grand Marcus. All three siblings have enjoyed singles and tag team success. Fared well in the annual Best of Super Junior tournament hosted by New Japan. I don't know if I've ever actually seen a full Dr. Wagner Jr. match.
I can say that I have not.
Like it's one of those names you know.
Yeah.
You know, like you see the name.
Lucha is something that I can say that I'm a novice on, so I don't really know a lot of, you know what I mean? Like, I know the names and I've seen the cats and all that stuff, but I don't know a lot about it. It's not something that was like just on in our region, you know what I mean? Like, we're not West Coast people. There just wasn't Lucha Libre on TV 5 in Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah, it would be on Univision sometimes, but you'd never know when. Like, and sometimes it might be on 5 p.m. on Saturday. Sometimes it might be on 3 a.m. on Thursday. You never knew when it was going to be on. I've tried to watch a bit of it as my life has gone on and look at things, and some of it's good. Some it's like any other fucking thing. Chad Austin is here with us. Hey.
Right on, man. I'm walking to my car. I just wanted to click on the link.
Okay.
It's so hot that I'm doing it from my car where I have air conditioning.
We have Aaron's here with me. We're already recording. We're already shooting shit. And what
are we doing? What are we talking about?
Right now, I've got a copy of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 from 2001. And
okay.
I was just having Aaron give me a random number, and then looking at who was at that number, reading their bio, you know, what was going on back then with the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500. Aaron,
hang on a sec. If I lose you for 1 second, it's because I'm trying to figure out how to turn off my car stereo.
That's how the sausages are made, people.
I thought maybe Foghat was going to start playing or something. A little slow ride. All right, Aaron, give me another number.
We'll go low.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I'll just do a little bit of air conditioning at a time. Because I can't figure out how to take the faceplate off my fucking stereo. So it won't kick on.
No, we were prepared for you to be the soundtrack here.
Well, it would be terrible. you don't want to hear what I'm listening to.
Aaron, give me another number.
125.
125. Pro Wrestling Illustrated PWI 500 2001 number 125. Billy Gunn.
Who?
Billy Gunn was 125 in 2001. Let's see. The Dudley Boy severely injured his shoulder by putting him through a table last year. Missed more than 6 months of action before returning to the WWF. Lost the use of his Mr. Ass moniker and failed in pro wrestling, and failed to gain momentum with Billy G as his name. Decided the one was the one. Ate a meatball sandwich at WWF New York during WrestleMania X7. That's in his, that's in his fucking bio. That's in his bio.
No.
That's fucking fantastic. The name of this episode is going to be Billy Gunn Eats a Meatball Sandwich.
Dude, that's incredulous. That means that's like creative has nothing for you.
Yes. Eat the fucking sandwich. Eat the fucking sandwich. You're the one, Billy Gunn. Why don't you give me
all right.
Why don't you give me a number, Chad?
348.
348. Number 348. Nathan Jones. 6'10", 330, 2 years pro. I didn't know he was 2 years in 2001. He looked like he was he looks like he was 6 months in 2003.
What, the big white guy?
Yeah, the big Australian. Let's see. This physical wonder towers over everyone else in UPW. Boasts a finely chiseled physique to complement his sheer size. A member of the Ultimate Army. His finisher is the choke slam. He and fellow Ultimate Army member John Heidenreich signed WWF developmental deals. So yeah, he's what UPW is that? That's not the Roland Alexander one, is it?
No.
No.
Rick Bassman.
Oh, Rick Bassman. Okay.
Yeah, like where like Samoa Joe was there and John Cena and all those guys.
I don't know why I thought
the SoCal kids.
Yeah. So which one was Roland Alexander?
I can tell you that I don't know a whole lot about Nathan Jones, other than I think that he worked at Nathan's hot dog stand. And his name was Jones. They just said, "All right, well, fuck it." Because I mean, clearly, didn't he go back to work at the Nathan's hot dog stand like not too much longer than this?
Well, yeah, he had to have. Didn't they go on a tour to Australia and he just stayed and just never came back?
Yeah. They said he just freaked out and just pulled a Dan Spivey and just went home.
Fuck it, mate.
Well, if you didn't know a definitive answer, you could always ask Bix, because Bix seems to know everything about everybody. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He seems to like, who the fuck does this much homework and research on people and their backstories and all their history and all? When I hear his stuff, I'm like, this guy's got too much time on his hands.
Did you ever listen to Between the Sheets?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, like you're right though. He'll go into this, like he'll dig into like newspaper articles from like a newspaper in Casper, Iowa, or something, and
I mean, it's not like he's out getting girls or anything. I mean, look at him. He's getting time to sit around and read about wrestling.
I gotta be honest. I took a whole different turn on him after I heard how Lasto and Cornette felt about him, because I never really thought about him that way, because I was like, well, this kid knows his shit. Mm-hmm. But they were like, he just sits in his mom's basement and watches wrestling all fucking day. And at first I was like, well, nothing wrong with that, but I'm like, that's all he does. Dig up dirt on people.
And his portly physique tells us that is literally all he does.
I can't wait to see a picture of him, because I wonder if what I'm imagining in my mind is what I'm going to see.
Yeah, it is. You never seen the picture of him?
No, I keep picturing what I want Archie Mitchell to look like.
He might be joining us later on. He had a thing going on there, an emergency. All right, Aaron, give me a number. Do a few more of these.
Let's go with 212.
212.
That's kind of like 2001. That's kind of like a meat, like a meat and potatoes kind of number.
Number 212 in the PWI 500 in 2001, Jamie Noble, spelled with a K here. 3 years pro, 215, 6 foot. Worked as Jamie San in the Young Dragons. Wore a mask to suppress his American heritage. Enhancing his knowledge of the Japanese style by teaming with Kaz Hayashi and Yang helped his game considerably. Heartbroken when WCW released Leia Mayao. He was heartbroken. Split from the Young Dragons and found another ostracized star, Evan Courageous, formerly of 3 Count. Teamed with Courageous against Shane Helms and Shannon Moore, has competed primarily on the Florida indie circuit since the WWF takeover of WCW. Great wrestler.
Yeah, good personality.
Who is this?
Jamie Noble.
Oh, I love Jamie Nobley. I've never called him anything but Jamie Nobley because it just kind of rolls off the tongue. Jamie Nobley.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Chad.
Well, he came through Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of times. He came around. He came around with the Joey Matthewses and the Christian Yorks and the Mickey Jameses, kind of era, Shane Helms, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Before he was anybody, and everybody loved him. He's just like, I don't know. I don't know if he had a problem or anything. Like, what his deal was, I have no idea.
He was
I liked him.
He was very entertaining. Like, I actually liked the stuff he did with Nydia in the WWF. I'm Jamie Noble, baby. I love that stuff.
Oh, the white trash.
Yeah. I thought it was fantastic. And on top of it,
you're also from Ohio.
We know guys like that.
Don't get carried away.
And always great matches. And I think, really, is he still with WWE as an agent?
I think he's still a producer.
Yeah, I think he is too. Because isn't he one of the clowns that run out all the time when they're doing shit?
I think so. In unneeded suits, they're always in. Like why are these guys wearing these suits? I don't understand.
Well, you can't wear. Like, one of the reasons why I never wanted to work for the WWE is because they had a dress code. I don't want a dress code. Like, do you think Matt Riddle wants to wear a suit?
He doesn't even want to wear shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I owned my crab house and I was watching that Nydia and Jamie Noble stuff when they were doing the white trash thing, and yeah, it was very entertaining to me, in my opinion.
They definitely took, and that's always one of Vince's picadillos, is he's always got to have some kind of white trash or a hillbilly or something like that. And that's one of the better iterations, I guess, in WWE history of that whole shtick. Is that, at least in my opinion.
He always wanted one because that's where he grew up. At the end of the day, Vince really grew up a hillbilly, and now he's making fun of those people because he hated it.
Well, Vince?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What college did Vince go to? Didn't he go to
Did he go to he went to military school, didn't he?
But I thought he went to North Carolina or something too, or he may have spent some time briefly, short-lived.
I'm gonna be like Bix and Google it. Let me see.
I was getting ready to do.
Fucking Bix.
Let me slobber on the microphone really quick.
I don't know how fucking Chris Zellner puts up with that nonsense. Because anytime I listen to a show where they cover anything that I was on, they always say, "Friend of the show, Chad Austin." No, I'm a friend of the show. I love Between the Sheets. I just don't like
too.
Bix.
Let's see here.
I can't wait for Bix to hear this. If he even listens. I'm sure he listens.
He attended Fishburne Military School in Waynesboro, Virginia. Vince McMahon. In his early life, he also overcame dyslexia.
Vince?
Yeah, apparently. Well, I mean, according to
Wikipedia, came back.
Aaron could have edited that for all I know, but
why would I edit that Vince McMahon had dyslexia? I can't speak.
Dick's what?
Well, in this case, it would be Vince-lexia. Because he is kind of doing everything backwards. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know what the fuck. Like Miss Jess, she always gets on me about why I watch Monday Night Raw, which I hear possibly could be going to 4 hours.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that's not happening. At least not in my marriage. It's not happening.
I watched the Hulu version. I haven't seen a 3-hour Raw since like 2015, but I can't imagine 4 hours of that show.
Yeah. What I do is I'll stay up from 8 to like 9:30 and see what they're planning, and then if something grabs me, they're gonna do like because I was very interested in what AJ Styles and Matt Riddle. Like last week,
right?
But I had to stay up for 11 o'clock for that. What would they do? Move to 7 o'clock and go to still,
yeah. Well,
11?
Especially since they're back in arenas now, and yeah, I mean, you have a show that runs till midnight for what you're purporting is for families to come to. That's a risky proposition.
To say the least. So they would have to bump it up an hour. I think that's one thing that AEW is doing right is by having the YouTube shows. Because I don't know about you guys, but didn't we all love the syndicated programs?
Absolutely.
Came on like random, Power Hour, that kind of stuff. Like, why don't Vince do a syndicated program? Because nobody watches Main Event, and not Main Event, but yeah, Main Event. And fucking for Christ's sake, I couldn't tell you the last time I seen 205 live. I don't even know if it was still a thing. I didn't know it was still a thing until somebody brought it up the other day, and I went 205 live.
I didn't even know the Main Event was still a thing.
I didn't know 205 was still alive. And then the main event is Jeff Hardy every single week, like losing to somebody.
What the fuck is going on?
If you're gonna bury him, just let him go.
Yeah. Aaron, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that I don't watch a lot of the current stuff. If something, I read something, I'm like, oh, I might want to watch that, so I'll check it out or whatever. But Chad's right about AEW. They're doing it right. They do Rampage is an hour, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dynamite's only 2 hours, and they don't have a fucking pay-per-view every goddamn month like WWE does.
Weeks.
So they can build shit and put things on their TV show and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I'll say that Tony Khan's doing right is kind of going back to the way it was, like when it really worked.
Yeah, I like that too. I don't even know why Vince don't even do a YouTube show.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't even know where to find Main Event or as much as I would love to watch NXT UK. Do you know how many hoops I got to jump through to find it?
Especially
I got to speak into my remote and go Peacock, and then somebody will hear me say it, they'll think I'm getting naked in the front door, and then I got to find it and go to WWE, and they don't label it like the old network did, to where you can just scroll down and see, you know what I mean? The territories.
Mm-hmm.
You got to search it out.
Yeah, I totally miss the way that the old network was set up. Like, absolutely miss it. Like, they found a groove with that actually appealed to, I think, people like us for as far as searching things out and watching things in chronological order. And yeah, the Peacock network, that shit. Somebody's got to figure. They want to set up the WWE part of it like they set up everything else. You know.
There you go. It ain't working.
No, it's not. I mean, I liked it better when I paid $10 a month to go on the Fire Stick. Right. You know, but now I get it for free because it's part of my cable package. Because I have Xfinity, so it's part of my cable package. So I get it for free, and I'm just like, there's nothing in here I want to watch.
Because even if there was, I wouldn't be able to fucking find it.
Yeah, because then you have to, after you find the WWE network, you have to go back up to the search bar and go back into the search mode, and then type in, just say Mid-South. Mm-hmm. You know, and you're hoping that it doesn't give you some bullshit Netflix show.
That's what I was about to say. Give you some serial sitcom from.
Did you say Queen of the South? You're like, no, I said Mid-South. Piece of shit.
Why is this Reba show on? What is going on?
Yeah, well, I also get Lifetime as part of my subscription to the Peacock.
Let's see. Let's do a couple more of these. Somebody give me a number.
329.
329. 329. Oh, good. An indie guy. Rick Diesel. Deezel. 6'2", 215, 13 years pro. Named director of the 13 affiliates of the Allied Independent Wrestling Federation. Inspired hatred by making sure his cronies kept the major championships. Competes primarily in the Mid-Atlantic area. Has held the AIWF heavyweight and tag team titles 4 times each. Anybody know anything about this cat?
Never heard of him.
Just from what you told me. He was the kingpin of the Allied.
Fuck yeah.
Promotion people.
The Allied Hambone promotion. Are you kidding me?
Aaron, you give me a number now.
He got to an added addition to his fucking camper after he got that. He's living in.
Aaron, give me a Aaron.
$20 a month. Huh? Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, give me a number because none of us know anything about this Rick Diesel dude.
Never heard of him.
160.
Ooh, that's going to be somebody we know.
Yeah.
In 2001, I'm going to say somebody like Bryan Danielson.
Dragon Kid.
Well, I had half of it right.
Let's see. Protege of Ultimo Dragon, hones his high-flying skills with Lucha Libre group Toramon. Aerial Innovator has been called the Rey Mysterio Jr. of the new millennium. I guess that didn't pan out.
Yeah,
who was this? 2001.
It's like 1 year in.
Was this? Did this guy ever become somebody else? And I just don't know who it is.
No.
Dragon Kid doesn't ring a bell. It's not. It wouldn't be Laredo, right? Laredo's a much younger guy, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be him because he'd be in his 40s by now. So no, I don't even know who that is. I'd rather much more know about Rick Diesel. He sounds more interesting than the Dragon Kid.
Let's see. Actually, it looks like he has pretty much, looking here on Wikipedia, it looks like he's pretty much stayed in Japan and wrestled for Dragon Gate and et cetera, et cetera.
So basically nobody else would book
pro. So, yeah, I don't know.
All right. How about
Want to do what?
How about 471?
Oh, it's gonna be a doozy.
Oh,
I like the low numbers.
And I guarantee that ICW is going to be on his resume. Yeah, he has to be.
Adam Jacobs.
See, exactly. I don't even know who that is either.
He advanced to the final of the NWA Wildside Junior Heavyweight Title Tournament. Formed a new version of the American Males with Silky Boom Boom.
Well, there we go. I mean, are we going to do a ham bone Hall of Fame for this show?
Him and Silky Boom Boom were like, look, who's your favorite tag team? What was this guy's name?
Adam Jacobs.
Adam Jacobs saw Silky Boom Boom in the locker room. He was like, hey, Silky Boom Boom, who's your favorite tag team ever? And Silky Boom Boom was like, American Males. And he was like, fuck yeah, that's mine too. We're best friends now.
Ham bone Silky Boo Boo. Was that his name? What was his name?
Adam Jacobs, and then, well, let's see the story continue here. Adam Jacobs turned against Silky Boom Boom.
Silky Boom Boom.
To join John Phoenix and Air Paris in Suicidal Tendencies.
I remember Air Paris, but I don't know any of these other people.
Yeah, I know. I remember Air Paris too. That was a Burt group, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was in. He went to WCW right before it died, and I think he was with AJ.
He was.
AJ was there for a minute. And they were like Air Raid or whatever, and then WCW went out of business like 2 months later.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of Silky Boom Bottoms, whatever his name was?
Silky Boom Box.
check out my Silky Boom Box.
Like I could only imagine if he was a heel. I don't know if he was a heel or not, but if he was a heel and just the signs, you would say, in the crowd, Silky Boom Box.
How many more do you want to do, guys?
I want to know what number Silky Boom Boom is. There's the alphabet at the back of it. There's an alphabet at the back of it. See if he's listed.
Well, I think in 2001 I had a better chance of making the 500 than Silky Bottoms was doing whatever. Silky Bottoms. Silky Bosoms. As a matter of fact, I think it will be called Sunny when she worked in ECW.
Silky Bosom.
Sorry, Aaron. Silky Boom Boom did not make the 500.
What about Chad? Did Chad make it?
I never made it.
Yeah,
500?
What's
never?
that? No, I got beat out by Donnie Allen one year.
What the
because
fuck?
Donnie Allen became friends with Bill Apter. Because it's all work anyway.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, Chad. Did guys actually look forward to that? Like looking to see where they were at on the list?
Oh yeah, I totally think they couldn't wait for that issue to come out and see where they ranked, and I got them all because I had a subscription, but I never made it because I never hung out. I mean, I know Bill Apter, we were friends and that kind of stuff, but it wasn't like I kind of trumped my idea to hey, put me in. Right. I figured if my body of work that nobody recognized it and Silky Bosoms made it or whoever Rick fucking Jacobs, whatever his name was, he made it. I'm like, well, I done more. That 2001 is pretty much when I came back after a couple of years of not working. And I started doing some of the best work that I ever did. But whatever. I don't harbor any ill feelings. I wasn't better than Silky Bottoms.
Silky boombox.
Oh God! All right, somebody give me. How many more you want to do?
I'll keep going however long you want. You're running this show, man. You're the.
All right,
do 500. Do 500.
we'll do 3 more. We have 4 more. We'll do 4 more.
All right.
500 is Bill. Oh, no, that's not. I'm sorry, that's $4.99. 500 is Pepper
Tommy
Parks.
Cairo. No?
No. Pepper Parks.
Pepper
Who?
Park.
Pepper
Pepper
Parks. Yes.
Well, isn't that one of the Dork Orders guys?
I don't think so.
I remember the name.
Yeah, isn't he the butcher?
He's got. Oh no shit! Is he really? Because
While you guys talk about it.
the thing here, he's got this. Of course, 500 always has their picture in here. In his picture, he's got pigtails.
Yeah, I remember that. He's the Blade.
Oh, all right. Claims to be the world's greatest heterosexual male cheerleader.
That's unbelievable.
Competed in the cruiserweight and tag team divisions of the Heartland Wrestling Association, aligned with the Jablonski brothers, who provide muscle.
Chet and Jet, right?
Yeah.
Chet and Jet.
Chad and Jabronsky boys. Oh my God! Yeah, my cousin who runs shows, he was telling me about Pepper Parks, and I'm like, I don't know who the guy is, and he's like, he's one of them guys from the Dark Order, and I'm like, well, none of them are any good. So, and you're telling me it's 2001?
Yeah, he is. Let's see, he's only 1 year pro because it's 5'11", 185 pounds, 1 year pro. So he's a rookie at that point. But yeah, shit, 20 years ago.
I like his music much more than I like his work. Like he's in like a metal band. Like a thrash metal band, kind of like a, almost kind of like, I don't know how to play my instruments. I'm just gonna bam, 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 bam.
but somehow it's gonna work.
Yes, but I thought that was better than the butcher thing. I don't fucking know. It didn't do it for me. And the best thing he could have done was got injured, in my opinion. Because it's doing us all a favor because it all looks stupid. The Blade looks stupid. The Bunny, for Christ's sake, what the fuck? What did she get lost and walk to the ring by accident? I mean, she looks like she has no idea what she's doing out there. Yeah, it's not good.
Well, I learned something today because I didn't know that Pepper Parks was in AEW.
The Blade.
Well, he's not right now. He's injured. I guess he's injured because he's
Yeah, but it's AEW. Everybody gets a check.
Yeah. But you said in 2001 he was 5'11", 100 and something pounds?
185.
Yeah, well 2021 he's 5'11", 320 pounds. And he's injury prone and he looks like fucking shit. He looks like a mess. If somebody would have presented a mess to be presentable and put it all together and said, this is a mess, but this is this guy. I mean, I wish all the best for him because from all accounts, from what I hear, he's a totally nice guy. But he might want to stick to his music career and his thrash metal death band stuff than being aligned with the Bunny and the fucking Blade, whoever that fucking guy is.
Well, let's be honest. With all the people they're hiring right now, the immense amount of hiring they're doing right now and contracts they're giving out, guys like that are probably going to fall off anyway. Honestly,
you think?
The low hanging fruit's going to fall off. Because you can only have so much talent. I mean, Lanny Poffo stayed home for 3 years and got paid by WCW because you can only feature so much talent.
Well, I mean, I agree, but I'll tell you what, my buddy Jeff that works at AEW, he told me that that they're really none of them guys are under contract. there's only like 40 people that are under contract.
So everybody else is just night to night?
Right. So,
Wow.
yeah, like Jeff was like, besides the guys like Cody, the Bucks, all them guys, there's like 40 like actual employees, like from AEW. Everybody else is basically night to night kind of thing. And we'll throw you on dark, or look what happened to that guy. I don't know, the guy that looks like Bruiser Brody, but nowhere near as talented. What's his name? Commandorado, whatever his name is.
I don't even know if I've ever seen him. Was he on Dynamite at all?
I think he's exclusively on Dynamite.
Okay.
It's the YouTube primetime channel. Because I mean, it's the same show as primetime was with Heenan and Gorilla, except they didn't have Heenan and Gorilla. It was all kind of like glorified squash matches.
Okay.
You know, and he was a big part of that. He come out with a straitjacket on, and I thought, like, wow, this guy's got a great thing going on, but he's just got to fucking learn one thing, and that's how to fucking work.
It's kind of important. Maybe. All right, Aaron, give me a number.
230.
230.
That should be somebody interesting. 2001.
230 in 2001. John Cronus.
Okay. Wow.
I think, let's see, I think he was an XP. Let's see. He would have been XPW now at this point, I think. Former ECW Tag Champion and longtime partner Perry Saturn jumped to XPW in October 99. The enforcer of Rob Black's army, deals with major threats but tries to squash minor ones. So this brings me to a point, Chad. What did I actually? We have the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame instead of Hall of Fame. And a couple of years ago, I inducted the entire promotion of XPW into the Hall of Shame. What was your opinion on XPW?
I haven't seen a lot of it. I have a bunch of commercial tapes, but did they have TV, like regular TV?
No, not that I ever knew of it. I saw most of the stuff that I saw was the commercial tape stuff too.
Okay, so basically it was all like what would be an ECW house show where they would just do all the big surprises and the big like spots and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan because I just didn't get it. I just like half these guys were guys that Paul got rid of for a reason. Wasn't that like Vic Grimes kind of shit?
Yeah, Vic Grimes and
New Jack.
Shane Douglas was there for a minute.
Oh, well, where isn't Shane Douglas? Doesn't he still work at Walmart or something?
Target.
Yeah. He has to, I can't believe Shane has to request off like twice a month because he has to go do wrestling. and he's got to tell his like Target boss, I need off. He needs the
convention. He needs the conventions off.
It's the holiday season. I know. We're running shows. I gotta go. I gotta be in fucking Hambone, Pennsylvania.
Like, what's the best run of your career, Shane? Target.
Yeah.
Had benefits.
That's the most consistent paycheck he's probably ever had. Jesus. Like, at least he knew he can go to the mailbox every 2 weeks when he worked for Target. Because that check that he got from Paul didn't even have enough money to put a stamp on the envelope.
No,
direct deposit.
So yeah. XPW is terrible. Like, it was like everybody. It was just bad. Like even when I would watch the videos or whatever, even then I was just like, this is not good. Like, they had like Pogo the Clown and fucking Supreme. You guys remember Supreme?
Yes,
I think so.
The short fat guy. It was fucking trash.
Didn't he have like Trailer Park Boy or White Trash Jimmy or something.
Homeless Jimmy? Was it Homeless Jimmy?
Homeless Jimmy was there.
I'll take it, sure. I bet
then there
was
as
well.
There was that Messiah guy that got in trouble with like drug dealers or something.
Yeah,
He got
they
his
cut his
fingers
thumb
cut
off. They cut his thumb off.
Well, that's always good for your company.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the wrestling business, if you're seeking publicity, what you want to do is you want to get Meltzer to see your product. You want Meltzer to review it so everybody finds out who you are. But when the guy fucks over a drug dealer and they cut your thumb off, that's probably not the publicity that you're looking for. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know.
Like, dude, were you in the Horsemen? He's like, no.
Yeah. I bet you when he goes to the Legends of the Hambone convention, he's going to pretend like he was.
All right, Chad, we'll do two more. Chad, give me a number.
All right, let's see. I'm trying to think 2001. I don't want to go too high, and I don't apparently after Rick fucking Boom Booms, I don't want to go too low. How about 309?
309. Let's see here. 309 is
Low key.
John Phoenix.
Again, is related to Ray? Is that his brother?
He's the guy. I'm going to give you another go, Chad, because this is the guy that was with Air Paris and Adam Jacobs after Adam Jacobs turned on Silky Boom Boom. This story in wrestling that I never knew until today. What a plot twist! Yeah, it's so intriguing.
All right, well, I'll try to shake it up a little bit, and I'll go a little bit higher.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to think 2001 because I really don't have a great grasp. Because that's pretty much like when John Cena was starting, right?
Yeah, he started in 01 or 02, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with 176. So it's probably somebody we know.
176 is...
Silky Boom Boom.
Again? He made the 500 twice?
Donovan Morgan. Let's see. 5'10", 225, 5 years pro. Lost the All Pro Wrestling Universal title to Vic Capri.
That probably stifled his career.
That's what you were thinking about when you thought about that Rotund Alexander. That's what you were thinking about.
Oh, APW?
The All Pro. Yeah.
What was his name again? Vic Capri or something?
Donovan Morgan is the guy we're talking about.
Donovan Morgan.
He beat Vic Capri, though.
I think I can picture him in my head of what he looks like, but
he was in that.
He was
in that crew with like Mike Modest and.
Yeah, it says here he teams with Mike Modest, and it also says he received the Future Legend Award from the Cauliflower Alley Club. So they were a little off. They were a little off that year in 2001.
They should have deemed him the future Hambone Hall of Fame Award winner, because that's as close as getting to any sort of Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned. Donovan Morgan. Good
Donovan
job.
Morgan.
Didn't he end up going to WCW?
It doesn't say anything about that in his bio here. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. He could have been one of those guys that was there at the end, that was like with Air Paris and AJ and.
Oh, he reminds me of
Mike Modest was even there, wasn't he?
Mike Modest was in WCW. Scott Steiner. I remember Scott Steiner beat the fuck out of him on Nitro.
Yeah, he reminds me of a Mark Jindrak, Sean O'Hare type. That's the picture I got in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Was he one of them guys? A big guy?
Let's see. Well, no, it says he's 5'10", 225.
Oh, so he stunk. I got you. Never mind. I would have thought as long if he was at least a big guy. I'd rather go back and talk about Nathan Jones again.
He's more like a Sky Lolo.
Sky Boom Boom.
Sky Boom Boom. He hits you with the silky skies and it's over.
Right. He's farting through silky boom booms.
Yeah. Aaron, give me a number.
What? I'm not gonna give you a number, but I'll give you a number. But I was just thinking about like Silky Boom Boom probably works at the Target that Shane Douglas is a manager at. Silky Boom Boom.
Oh yeah, I
Silky
wouldn't
Boom
doubt it.
Boom he works in the sporting goods department.
I was gonna say Shane looks at the bathroom checklist, on the door, and it says SBB, so he knows Silky Boom Boom did his job that night.
So Shane would go in there and use the hand sanitizer because he realized that Silky Boom Boom. I can totally see that. And he probably got the job because I don't know, because he probably knew somebody there anyway.
It was Donovan Morgan, actually. They all work at the Target together with Shane Douglas.
I'd much rather do a whole entire show about Silky Boom Booms or whatever his name is. Silky Boom Boom.
Sticky Boom Boom.
Sushi Boom Boom?
Sushi Boom Boom.
Snoochie Boochies? What?
Snoochie Boochie Boom Booms?
It's like fucking baby talk over here.
I think even Jay Sully could have fun with that fucking
Sully Boom Booms. That's his new name, Sully Boom Booms.
And he's still here?
He's in the ham bone.
Yeah.
He's immortalized.
Dude, if you could find a picture of fucking Silky Bottoms, whatever his name is, and make him ham bone elite.
I'll do it.
Of course you will.
I can make it happen.
We know you will.
It only took you a day and a half to find the Bob Roop in his All-American singlet to make him ham bone elite. I mean, I can't believe it. Like, literally, if it wasn't for the fact that pork is ham. So I was like, well, who better than Pork Chop Cash? Like, nobody's a bigger ham bone than Pork Chop.
He's literally a ham bone.
Yes, he is. A bone in. It even comes with a bone. You can't get any better than Pork Chop Cash as far as being a ham bone. My turn?
Huh?
My turn?
Well, Nate left for a minute. Left his post.
I'm still trying to figure out how to take my fucking stereo off so I can turn the car on and have the air conditioning. The front plate of my stereo, I don't know how to get it off, but I turn the car on to get air conditioning, and the Bluetooth kicks in. So when you hear me cut in, cut out, because I'm starting the car up, because I'm charging my phone, and I want to get air.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture.
You're trying to find a picture of Silky Boom Boom?
Yeah.
I kind of figured you would.
In the meantime, Aaron, give me a number. We'll do one more, and then
Well, I think it's Chad's turn.
Oh, Chad. And then we'll roll on to whatever Aaron had in his
All right,
arsenal.
I don't have anything.
You don't have anything, so we're just going to keep doing this?
We are whatever.
Yeah,
I
we'll
can
just
do
keep...
this all night long. We
All right.
500.
We'll do this for another hour. We'll call it a show. It sounds good.
All right. Well, I mean, since we realized that the further down the line we get, we don't know anybody. Like besides Sweaty Bottoms, whatever his fucking name was. We're gonna, how about number 99?
99.
Oh my god.
Earlier and found a picture of Silky Boom Boom.
And I bet you it's every bit as what you imagine.
And more.
Like,
is it like Mr. Ooh La La?
That's exactly what my next word was going to be. Maybe he should form a tag team with Mr. Ooh La La Silky Bottoms.
They can call a team Ooh La Boom Boom.
I like the name Sweaty Booty. Wow, Mr. Ooh La La and Silky Bottoms as a tag team. I can just imagine. It's got to be a combined weight of, we can't tell because they're too big to get on the scale. We can't find the scale big enough for them. Or they had to take them to like one of them horse farms. Where they're gonna pick them up from the underneath. And you see
a picture to you guys.
And you see Silky's udders hanging down from the harness that they put him up in.
See, I'm looking at the picture here. Oh goodness!
I bet you it's goodness. Once I get back up into the room, I am definitely going to fucking look up Silky.
There he is, Chad.
Sweaty Bottoms.
Can you see him?
I can see him, but I can't see it clear. I need to see a full. I want an 8x10. Yeah. Oh, that's Silky Boom Boom there. That's Sweaty Bottoms there. Sweaty Bosoms.
With the outfit, it looks like his name should be Velvet Boom Boom. All right, number 99.
Look like the Bland Wizard.
God damn. That popped me.
That was 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome, Aaron. That was good. Chad said number 99. Number 99 is Al Snow.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess nobody's going to have a bad word to say about Al, right?
I actually, Al's a fantastic wrestler, and he was always like, when I actually, where he's from in Lima, Ohio, I used to run a GameStop store there, and he would come in there at like 10 in the morning to shop. And because he knew he knew that if he came in the mall earlier in the morning, there wouldn't be a bunch of people there, because this was during his time in WWF, and he was always super cool, like as a person, to me as a customer.
If he didn't put the head backwards on his forehead and carried a mannequin in his hand, probably nobody would have known who he was anyway.
True.
He probably walks in there and is like, "What does everybody want? Games.
Mario.
What does everybody need? Games." I know. I like Al. You know what? Do you know? I saw a Florida TV show from like 1980. I don't know, one, and he was a job guy on there.
No shit.
Yeah, like because I know he started in like the 80s.
Yeah, well, okay. This is 2001, and this says he's 19 years pro. So yeah, that adds up.
Yeah, and he was a jobber at the same time that when Barry Horowitz was using the stick of either Shane Hart or Barry
Bret Hart.
He wasn't Bret Hart.
Okay.
Bret Hart with 2 T's.
3 T's.
Bret Hart.
Yeah, but yeah, I when I saw that, I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I think you guys might know this. I think he worked for the Bruisers company in WWA.
He did
back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm. And I think actually, I think at that time, well, yeah, and I think he actually just went by Sarvin, by his last name, by his real last name.
Sardine?
If I remember correctly. Al Sardine.
Is he related to Dan? Don?
Jardine.
The sardines. They roll them out in the can.
No spoiler, but
we don't trust these guys. They seem kind of fishy.
Oh, God damn.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Welcome to the dad joke edition of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Jesus. Like, I could just imagine them wheeling them out in a big can, and then their manager like does the whole entire unrolling it. The Sardine Brothers.
They could have a totally different take on the casket match.
Oh, it's the sardine match. You got to get him out of the ring, put him in the fucking sardine can, and then you got to roll him back up with that little key thing. It's always
and they have to at some point they have to be seconded by at least one of the bushwhackers.
Or yeah, I guess yeah. Or some woman to give you a bad name, too, because it's gotta be something fish related.
Aaron, give me a number.
Sticky fish.
We've gone low. Let's try high. Let's go double digits. Who was 50?
Ooh.
Number 50.
Hang on, let me take a stab at this.
All right. 2001.
2001. I'm going to go somewhere around. I'm going to say somewhere around the CM Punk era. I would say maybe Colt Cabana.
I think 50 might be
A little high.
Yeah, for Colt.
Or is that just me?
I think 50 might be like Perry Saturn.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're playing 7 Degrees of Perry Saturn, you're pretty damn close because number 50 is Eddie Guerrero.
Wow, boy.
I thought Eddie would have been higher. But he did. No, I was going to say he did get hurt, but he got hurt earlier.
That was 2000. Well, actually, he is out, I think, at this point, by the time this is ranked anyway, because at the end, plans to return after dealing with personal problems. So I don't know. Didn't he have an accident or something in 2001 or some shit like that?
No, that was 99. He fucking rolled his car. He was drunk and rolled his vehicle.
Yeah, we used Eddie quite frequently when he was on his I'm back on the wagon tour.
Mm-hmm.
And he was fine, but it didn't take long, honestly. It didn't take long for him to get back into the I'm on the road again, And
right.
I'm going back to like the shit that I knew and blah blah blah. And he was always a perfect guy to deal with in the company that I worked for. I do remember one time we brought him in to work with one of our local talents who was kind of like one of our push guys. And after the match was over, Eddie come back to the locker room and he yells at the promoter, Mr. McDevitt, and he yells at him, "Don't ever book me against a piece of shit like this guy again." And everybody was like, he said it in front of the whole entire locker room. So you can imagine what the guy felt like that he was referring to. Like, what? and we were looking at him like, he's one of our most pushed guys. Like, he was just like, he can't fucking do shit. He can't listen. Because he was one of them guys that had to go over the whole entire match before you go out there kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie was just like, no, we're on an independent show. We'll call it in the ring, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, then I'll do this. Then I'll do that. And Eddie was like, okay. But, Eddie was just like, fuck this, man. This guy stinks. But, I never had a bad word to say about Eddie. And when he came in the ECW, he was always great to everybody. Because I remember when they brought him in, I was at one of the B shows, like one of the Friday night shows before the arena.
Mm-hmm.
That they brought him in because he was going to do the Saturday night at the arena, and then they started doing the tapings on Sunday. The $5 get you in the arena on Sunday for the tapings, and yeah, he was just like happy to be there. But that was when, like I said, when he was on the wagon.
When he was working the indies at that time, did he? What do I want to say? Did he carry he carried himself like one of the boys and not like he was better than anybody else on the show?
No, not at all, man. He was one of the boys. Like, you can always tell by how one of the guys like that walk into a locker room if they're one of the boys. Because like one of the first things that we ever learned when I was breaking in was you always go into the locker room, and if it's a new locker room, like people you don't know,
right?
You always introduce yourself to everybody there, and even if they know who you are, I'm Eddie Guerrero. Nice to meet you, and then you shake everybody's hand and that kind of stuff, and that's what Eddie did. Like I guess I was never around Eddie when he was not the right Eddie. You know what I mean?
Well, I've never heard anybody say even when he was, I guess I'll just say it. Even when he was fucked up, I've never heard anybody say he was a prick or anything like that. It's just he was, I guess, a little more unreliable or what have you when he was on the wagon or when he was off the wagon.
Yeah, I never heard of him. I never heard of him. Could you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Yeah. Was he known for did he no-show stuff?
No. That's what I was saying. Like I've never heard even with his issues. You hear about guys with issues and how when they're fucked up or whatever, they're more difficult to deal with or what have you. From everything I've ever heard, even when Eddie was succumbing to his demons, I guess you'd say, he was never a prick and never hard to deal with.
I don't even know what Eddie's problem was. Was it alcohol or was it drugs?
Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his deal was alcohol.
Yeah.
No, that's my deal.
Me too.
Yeah.
Eddie's was drugs, or not drugs, sorry, it was alcohol. And I mean, I think I don't want to say, yeah, he did, but like, I know he did steroids, but that's not what it's all about. But his drug of choice was booze.
I remember, oh my God, I remember Eddie, yeah, he didn't drink beer, I don't think. Like, I don't think I saw him drink beer. I think he had like a concoction like in his like a milk crate or something, like a milk jug that he would drink out of. But as far as I know, because I didn't hang around a lot like that. But I never hung out at the bars like after them shows. But yeah, he didn't seem like he was a drinker then. Because like I said, I think he was on the wagon.
Right. Aaron, give me a number.
Come on, give us somebody good.
212.
I think you already picked 212.
Did I already do 212?
Yes.
Okay.
You ought to play that in your Ohio lottery.
250.
Halfway. The halfway point. 2001 PWI 500. There's somebody out there that has this. Sorry. There's somebody out there that has this as the nickname for their dick. Otto Schwanz. Sorry.
Isn't he in NXT UK?
Otto Schwanz? I don't think so.
Oh, no, that's Walter. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, so known as Bo Dup while teaming with Jack Dup in ECW. The Dups had bad habit.
I wasn't
ahead.
around for any of the Dups. I'm sorry I missed them because I would have loved to have been around for the Dups.
Well, apparently this guy was a complete schwanz anyway, so you probably didn't want to meet him.
Otto Schwanz.
Otto
My favorite duck
Schwanz.
name was Stan. Stand up.
Stand up.
That was my favorite one. Stand up. What? Oh, what was this dup? Is this
This is Bo Dup.
is Bo Dup the one that took
It's what?
Stacey Carter away from Lawler?
Otto Schwanz is blah blah blah.
No. Lawler, when Stacey Carter left Lawler, she left him for one of the Dups. And I think it might have been that guy.
Like jacked up.
She liked his Otto Schwanz apparently.
Well, that's kind of the fucking price you pay when you like to see your girl get hammered by some other guy. Like I've always been trying to tell Jess we need to entertain. Like maybe we should do some other kind of like get somebody else involved. And I'm thinking like one of her friends, and she's thinking like one of my friends. And I'm like, well, I don't want to see Chris's Otto Schwanz.
You don't cross the streams. Have you ever seen the Ghostbusters? Jesus.
Otto Schwanz.
Are you looking that up, Aaron?
Yes. Yes. Talk amongst yourselves.
I'm still trying to figure out how to take my faceplate off my fucking stereo so I can turn the air on and not get you on Bluetooth. Like, I have a feeling that nobody's going to be able to steal this goddamn stereo if they broke into my car. Because I can't get the thing out of here. I think I turned the power off. I don't fucking know because I need air conditioning in this bitch. I'm dying over here. My Otto Schwanz is getting all sweaty boom boomed.
We're letting Aaron do his research here.
Oh, no, guys, keep talking. Keep talking.
All right, well, now that we've covered Otto Schwanz, Chad, give me a number.
Let's go 114.
114.
Rockin' Rebel. Oh, he's in line for a Hambone nomination.
Let's see, 114.
Speedy Richards. No,
Good cash.
yeah, 2001.
It's actually Kid Cash.
Well, what can you say bad about him, man?
I really enjoyed him. Yeah, I mean, he was actually, ironically, one of my favorite matches to watch.
It was Bo Dup. Sorry.
What?
It was Bo Dup.
All right, so Otto Schwanz is the guy that took Stacey Carter from Jerry Lawler.
Yes. That should have been in his bio. Good for him.
Right?
Anyway, go ahead.
Was that the kitty cat girl? Stacey?
Yeah.
Oh man, she was hot.
Yeah.
I got an autograph picture with her. I get all my pictures signed to jabronis. Because that's the name of the bar at my house. And I never want them to think that I'm going to like get their autographs to sell the picture.
Right.
So I always get it personalized to something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and everybody always tells me like, oh, that's awesome because you're not just coming here to get the thing signed so you can go ahead and sell it on eBay or something.
Right. Yeah, I always get mine personalized too.
So yeah, I got her picture. It's framed. It's in my bedroom. I think I don't know if it's hung up, but because I don't have any fucking room in my bedroom to hang anything yet. But yeah, I always thought she was fucking brutally hot, and clearly you know why she was with Lawler.
The push.
Well, that the fact that he was taking care of her.
Yeah.
You know, she was what, in her 20s,
Oh yeah, easy, like early 20s.
and he was in his late 50s.
That's how Jerry rolled.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've come across. I mean, I'm not going to say any of them stories about Lawler was true about the underage girls and all, but I came across a lot of women that became women when I worked down there that were with Lawler when they were younger. I don't know how much younger because they didn't tell me. I didn't ask. I didn't want to know. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were like, "Oh yeah, we follow you guys all around and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Go fucking figure. How do you fucking follow us around? Did you guys get a school bus? Like, did your parents bring you? Because I don't think any of y'all driving."
Not legally anyway.
What Heyman say to him on Raw? How you doing
How
at
are
the
the-
Seesaws in Memphis, Jerry?
Yeah. Double entendre there.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, can you? I mean, you can just imagine that Paulie could have a field day. You know, Paulie could have a field day with Lawler when it comes to that nonsense. Well, I mean, Paulie don't have a fucking ironclad closet. You know, iron, door. There's enough fucking skeletons in that guy's closet, and there probably is legitimately skeletons. I'll tell you, man. I'll never forget that time where him and fucking Jason, the ham bonus man alive, when they got into a fight. I think it was in Hamburg. I swear to
All
God, I
comes
think
back to Hamburg.
Yeah, I was gonna say full circle, baby.
I think it was, and it was basically the same time that Ian got fired, and Jason and Paul got into a fight, and the last thing that Jason was yelling to Paul was, "I hope you had a good time blowing the Grand Wizard." and the locker room just kind of was like, "What? What?" Like, I ain't never heard this story, nor do I want to fucking hear this story.
Yeah, I don't even want to hear about it, but goddamn.
Yeah, the whole locker room was like, "Oh!" Everybody just kept like going down and relacing their boots again. Like, like I'm not getting involved in this. we're already in Hambone. Good. So where we at?
That might be the best ending yelling of an argument I've ever heard.
Well, if that's it. That's it. I mean, if we can go on and keep going. I mean, I don't have enough battery, but
No, I'm not saying the end of the show. I'm just saying, like, where do you come back from that? Like when somebody yells at you, like, "Hope you had fun blowing the Grand Wizard." Like, what's Paulie supposed to say? Like, no matter how he responds, he admits that he did it.
Well, yeah, Aaron.
Like, even if he says, "I didn't enjoy it," it's like, "Whoa, you did it!" But then if he goes, "Yes, I did," it's like, "Whoa." So he had
I mean, at the end of the day, you're a quick-witted fellow, and you can come up with a response. But if you're confronted by the sexiest ham bone alive, and he tells you that he hopes you have fun blowing the Grand Wizard, and I even think he said in the woods. I mean, I'm not making that up, but I'm not 100% sure that he said that. But I swear to God, I heard. I hope you like blowing the Grand Wizard in the woods.
one night, Paulie just opened up to Jason about his past transgressions, and it came back to haunt him.
Oh, well, it's clear. It's clear that they had a past relationship of some sort. A friendship of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Because they probably all were sleeping with Maddie. So they probably all reconnected back at the hotel somewhere in New York. How do you like my anal? Oh my God! I hope nobody hears this. It's a good thing that I have no future plans on going back to work for anybody. Good God, I can't imagine walking into the locker room and was like, "What the fuck? How do you like my anal?"
You really said that?
So how was the Grand Wizard? Was Ernie hung?
I wish we could make that the name of this show. I know we can't. We Can't Wrestle podcast. Number, what is this?
144.
We Can't Wrestle podcast. Number 144. How do you like my anal?
How do you like my anal, ham bone?
Oh, that's just too much.
Damn.
Let's do a few more and then we'll call it quits. Aaron, give me a number.
137.
137, 2001 PWI 500. The Steven Richards.
That's something we can talk about.
What number was it?
137, Steven Richards, or Stevie Richards. It's Steven Richards here because he's in the right to censor at this point.
Which I actually like.
Well,
I actually like the right to censor. I know people dog on it.
I can tell you one thing. Stevie was not a big fan of mine. Like, he didn't like me at all.
For any reason, or
Well,
just because?
Well, no, I mean, I guess he had a right to, but I thought it was, like, good for business. That, he had that cracked orbital bone thing.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he was wearing that face shield?
Yeah.
Well, we worked a couple of shows together, and I took it upon myself. He's like, whatever you do, don't fucking hit me in the face or whatever. Like, fine. So, I throw punches. I throw a lot of punches, but I don't hurt nobody. I'm kind of like Lawler when it comes to punches, Bobby Eaton throwing punches.
Right.
And he got so pissed at me because I kept throwing punches at his goddamn stupid plastic fucking shield that we were going home for the finish, and it was the super kick. And you guys don't know because I guess you guys aren't in the ring, but you could tell when somebody's loading up. And he shot me into the corner and it was like, come out for the super kick, and I could already tell that this is not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out, and the dude fucking just took my fucking head off. And then he goes get up, take another one. Oh, jeez, whiz. Is it because of the goddamn plastic face shield thing? And I got up, I took it,
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, all I heard was him bitching in the locker room about not wanting to work with me anymore. And we had already worked a bunch of times. But why wouldn't I take advantage? Why would I work the guy's arm if he has a bad?
Yeah. I mean, it's the gimmick.
I'm thinking well, I'm a fucking fool if I don't work it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let me work. I'm not going to hurt you. But I guess he didn't think I was safe enough, or I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe he just felt maybe it was still too new, like the injury, that he didn't want to cause any damage. But I'm like, I am not going to hurt you. I've never hurt anybody in the business except for Hot Body, I think. But yeah, he never really and he went on record as saying it a few times in like shoot interviews. If my name was brought up, like that he just didn't like working with me and blah blah blah, and that's fine. First of all, we didn't have chemistry to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't like it was any fucking. It wasn't killing me, like whatever. Because I'd rather not work with you if you don't work with me. I'd rather work with somebody that I can work with,
Right?
not somebody that wants me to do, their match. I'd rather do our match. That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
I never told anybody, "Oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and this," and then another guy goes, "Well, when can I do my stuff?" And then, all right, well, whatever, we'll get it in. I never did that. Like, what do you want to do? Give me your best 3 or 4 moves.
Well, and not being a worker myself, I would think that would be the best way to have a good match. I mean, you're essentially, wrestling is the only sport where the two guys that are against each other are actually a team, if that makes sense. And yeah, and you would think that somebody would want to, like you said, what do you do? What are your best 4 moves? Let's have the best match we can. So being uncooperative to me seems counterproductive.
It's funny that how I just explained that was the same thing that I overheard Eddie Guerrero talking to that Maryland kid that he worked, that he said was terrible. Because he literally was like, I mean, I heard this before, Eddie, but I never applied it. That was like, hey, tell me your best 4 moves, and then we'll incorporate that in the match. And if I know your best 4 moves, I can call them for you when the time is right, kind of thing. But that's when I was like, that's smart. I heard it before, but I never used it because I always just been like, all right, well, either if we don't call it in the ring, just, but I was not a big fan of having to go over the match,
Right.
in the locker room a bazillion times because I wasn't going to remember it. And then what if you got heat? What if you didn't get heat, So how do you change it?
Right.
I did it a lot of times. And I worked for this company in West Virginia, Atlantic Terror Championship Wrestling. I don't know. It was an outlaw mud show company, but they ran pretty much every week in like Martinsburg, West Virginia. And I would go there, and them guys loved working with me, the guys that owned the company, because it was always easy. Because it wasn't like, they knew I wasn't going to hurt them, and there was no chance they were going to hurt me.
Right.
So if they were calling something like Philly, whatever, I go, that's not happening. You better come up with something better than that. Like, I wasn't taking a hoopy driver from some guy who was the 7th match. Like, I don't know what we're talking about, but that's not happening. And I'm like, well, how about this? How about I just punch you?
Aaron? Oh, no, Aaron, you gave me the last number, didn't you? Chad, give me another number. We'll do 2 more, and then we'll sign off.
I hope my battery lasts. How about 127?
127 is Val Venus. Val Venus.
Shane Morley or Val Venus?
Val Venus.
Oh.
At this point, he is, founded with the Good Father and Bull Buchanan in Right to Censor and Steven Richards. That's pretty much all they say about him at this point. So yeah, he was doing the Right to Censor thing at this point.
If there's ever a gimmick that hurt a guy, I think it's that one.
Yeah, I agree. I totally think that they killed him because he had
that porn star gimmick. Like, what else were you gonna do with it? And then, like, after you do it, what else can you do with it? You know what I mean? And the dude was fucking uber talented, I think. And
I think that too. I agree. I don't know what happened. I followed him in Ozark Mountain. Like when he was working for Burt as Sean Morley,
Yeah.
and literally Cactus Jack was there too. And as soon as they left is when I came in. So that was how Burt was gaining steam for Ozark Mountain. Like, because he already had Cactus Jack, blah, blah, blah. And then after I saw him, I kind of was like, this guy's pretty talented. And then I went back home, and then I started taking some dates in New Jersey and all. And Al Snow took a liking to him. And Al Snow started pitching to everybody like a house show match. How about you to book me against Sean Morley at every show? And we were on a boardwalk in Atlantic City, and I watched him. I'm like, that guy's good. That guy's really good. But yeah, he was kind of like the Val Venus character was okay. It was fine and all, but it didn't showcase how good he could work.
Yeah. And it's like, I say this to Nate every once in a while, like when like, say somebody that doesn't know anything about wrestling, you ask them, hey, draw me a wrestler. You know, they're going to draw you somebody like looks like Sid Vicious or looks like Lex Luger. Sean Morley's almost in that category too. Like, that dude was built. He looked good. He could work. I never really saw him have a bad match.
Mm-hmm.
But that fucking gimmick they gave him, it just saddled him right out the bat. It's like,
it didn't do any favors.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know I walked away for a second right when you made your point, but that's what I was going to say. It's unfortunately for him, because of the Attitude Era, in that respect, his career, he's kind of a fly in the Vaseline because he got stuck, in that. By being saddled with that gimmick, he couldn't come above it, I guess.
Yeah, like, a porn star is never going to be the WWF champion. You know what I mean?
Right.
And once your gimmick is that you're a fucking porn star, what else are you gonna do after that? It's like, that was one of the, I don't want to say worst gimmicks, because I mean, it got kind of over because people reacted to it and shit. But I didn't like it. It was one of the examples of Vince Russo being just like short-sighted. Like, okay, you have this fucking guy, but you're just gonna give him this fucking one-dimensional gimmick that isn't gonna go any further than the middle of the card.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Morley should have been. I'm not saying he should have been WWF champion or anything, but he should have been a bigger star than what he was.
Yeah, and the right to censor gimmick didn't help him out any either.
No.
It just kind of solidified him as the middle of the pack.
Aaron, give me another number.
Or is this the last one?
I'm going to do one more from you and one more from Chad.
All right.
If my phone lasts.
185.
185. Brian Adams.
Oh, I love fucking Summer of '69. Was that him? Was it was it the Boys in Summer or Summer of '69?
I think this is the year he got his first real six string.
Was it? He got
for five and dime. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys did that in stereo. That was fantastic.
So Brian Adams would be what? Who later became?
He later, after this, he became dead. But before this, he was Crush. Well, fuck, he did.
That's a little harsh.
Let's see what his bio says in 2001. He and Brian Clark lost their second WCW World Tag Team title to the Great Muta and Vampiro in August 2000. After that, Chronic was chronically absent from tag title matches. He and Clark used the High Times, a double choke slam. Best known for his WrestleMania 10 Falls Count Anywhere match against Randy Savage at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, I'm sure he was. I'm sure that put him on the map of wrestling. I actually liked his program at Yokozuna.
I did. And you know what? I actually liked his program with Evil Doink. Honestly, and that's not even a joke. Like I actually liked that rivalry.
Yeah, I don't remember too much about that, but yeah, I mean, he had his moments. He was brutally awful in Portland.
Yeah, the build up to the match at WrestleMania 10 with Savage wasn't bad. That was actually good. The match was just terrible.
Well, he couldn't do anything, and then you put him in the ring with a guy that can't do anything either. You know, what are you going to get?
Well, it was one of those stupid false count anywhere where you pin the guy and then he has a 10 count to get back to the ring, and yeah, that was doomed from the beginning.
Let's do this. Unless we got anything else on Brian Adams.
Nope.
Before Chad picks his number, Nate, you pick a number. You haven't picked a number.
I'm gonna pick 418.
All right.
Oh boy. It's
418.
What's his name?
418 is a gentleman. I don't know if he's a gentleman or not because I never heard of him, but his name is Poison.
Oh boy.
First name box office.
That's not Wolfie, is it?
Belle Biv DeVoe. Now you know. No, based in England's Brawl, Brawl, an affiliate of the Allied Independent Wrestling Federation.
Oh, him and Abe Pagoda, tag team champion, and they got to fucking defend the belts against Slimmy Bell Bottoms and
Jake Jackson.
Yeah. Get out of here.
He dominated his feud with Steven Niles. Good for him. Feuded with wrestlers on both continents, including Body Count, Mr. Nothing, and the Coal Miners.
Well, Mr. Nothing, that's got to be a fucking high dollar program. I mean, you talk about like the name game where you put it on the marquee, whether it's The Rock versus Mr. Nobody. That's almost guaranteed to not sell tickets.
The only feud you could have better than with Mr. Nothing is with Mr. Everything, I guess. So yeah, I didn't have a good pick there.
Mr. Everything?
Do another one. Do another one.
All right, one more, and then we'll have Chad, and then we'll sign off. So Chad's phone doesn't die. All right, I'll pick 322. Let me flip to it. 322. I've heard this name before, and I bet Chad knows this guy because he competes primarily in Maryland Championship Wrestling. It's Keenan Creed.
Oh, a Maryland guy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. He's one of my favorite opponents. I used to love working him, except for the fact that he was one of them guys that he had to go over every single spot.
Mm.
It was a big dance routine to him. And I remember one time where we were doing the show and we had the Insane Clown Posse. Like they weren't booked on the show. They were in town. And me and Keenan were going over our match in the hallway. And their entourage came walking past. And we're like clearing the hallway. Like there was a ton of people in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
It was me and Keenan. And we didn't give a shit. And they came walking in and we were just like, who the fuck are these guys? And they were like, it's the Insane Clown Posse. And we're like, again, who the fuck are these guys? I mean,
that's
the
ICP. That's the joke I was going to make when Chad said the ICP weren't booked on the show. They just were in. They were in town. I was like, isn't that how they got I was going to say, isn't that how they got on most wrestling shows?
Yeah, they
booked.
paid themselves. They literally didn't ask. They never got paid. All they wanted to be was on the show. And we were just, me and Keenan were like going through our match. And they come walking down the hallway, shooing us to the side. And as a matter of fact, it comes up as a memory of mine on Facebook. A me and Keenan match that somebody had posted on YouTube. And I usually share it because I think it's when I became more of a comedy wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing all the silly stuff, all the silly bumps, all that kind of stuff. And I always had good chemistry with Keenan. It's just the fact that I didn't like the fact that he had to call everything ahead of time.
Do you think there's a reason he didn't make it big? Because this thing even says he was included in the annual Indy 30 listings of the top 30 prospects on the independent circuit. Do you think was there something that held him back from breaking out?
Yeah, I think it was. If I had to guess and pinpoint it, I would say it was probably something job related.
Okay.
Because he may have had a job with the government or some sort or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, he was getting too big to, high profile, so to speak. And he had to take time off. So when he took time off, it hindered him in a sense because I believe he won one of our Shane Shamrock Cups in Maryland. We have a tournament every year for the best of the junior heavyweights.
Mm-hmm.
And because the guy that died, Shane Shamrock, was the guy it was named after. And we had a tournament after him. And I believe Keenan won one of them because I think there's a picture of all of us that was in the tournament.
Well, yeah, his bio on this 500 from 2001 actually says, recently competed in the Shamrock Cup tournament where he was pinned by Joey Matthews, the eventual winner, in the 6-man elimination final. So there you go.
Well, that makes sense because it probably meant that he came back and won either the next year or the year after.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm glad my second pick resulted in a conversation because the first pick was garbage. Chad, I'm going to give you
this can't work. Not that he can't work. I just don't think that he can work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For reasons.
Chad, I'm going to give you the last pick of the show. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
You still there?
I was going to say, talking about ICP. I love when Mike Awesome just drops Shaggy 2 Dope off that bus. And
then he slides off of it.
Yeah, he just drops that fucking dupe on his fucking head. It's great. He gave no shits about Shaggy 2 Dope. He was just like, poof, whatever happens, happens.
And then in your head, you just hear as he slides down the side of that bus.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic. I hate ICP.
The ICP were terrible. I mean, they were beyond terrible. They were like worse than Bruiser Bedlam wrestling terrible.
Where Nate and I grew up, we were like a stone's throw away from fucking Detroit. So everybody was talking how great their music was and everything. It's like, no, these guys fucking suck.
My first job was at a music store in Toledo, Ohio. And they came in at some point to do an autograph signing at the store. And they were assholes, and their music was garbage, and they were garbage people to deal with. So
yeah. They look like they smell like piss.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they weren't very hygienic. Especially when like they were all idiots. And they legitimately had a big gigantic tour bus because we all went back on a tour bus and we all like got high and shit like that. But other than that, they were awful. And watching fucking Shaggy Boom Booms do the fucking leg drop off the top rope, whatever his leg drop was, it was despicable.
I love that. It's despicable. Despicable. That's the perfect adjective.
Yeah, because nobody's ever going to recreate the Bobby Eaton leg drop. Like, I've tried it, and I could almost do it, but I couldn't do it nowhere near as good as Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it. He did the deal where he would just jump up straight leg and land on you, and it looked ridiculous and pitiful, and you almost wonder why you sell it. When
Shaggy 2 Dope did it, it was the burger eating leg drop.
It was the boom boom eating.
So we'll give Chad the last pick, and then we'll sign off here. One more number, Mr.
Let's
Austin.
go with the almighty 3. Did we do 316?
All right, 316. Let's see if we round out with anybody that any of us have any clue who the fuck it is. 316. Anybody know Scott Bishop?
No.
Who?
Scott Bishop.
Oh Lord. Oh, good Lord.
At this point, the fact that none of us know who he is crazy because he's been in the ring for 20 years.
Sure he was.
Just because he's been in the ring, just because he's worked for 20 years doesn't mean he's worked for 20 years. He's only had 10 fucking matches.
I mean, look at how good QT Marshall is, and he's been in the business 20 years.
Touche.
I mean, I'm not saying QT Marshall can't work, but he's also a trainer. And, you know what I mean? Like, So what? You were in NXT like 8 years ago or something, and they got rid of you. Yeah, I don't know who this guy is, and it's funny to me that how biased the after magazines are when it comes to these people, because it's all like East Coast people, and that's the shows that Bill went to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you sidled up to Bill, and you became friends with Bill, there's a good chance you're going to be in the 500 somewhere. I didn't. I treated Bill like I respected Bill because I like talking old school wrestling with him, and I never thought for 1 second that put me in the 500 because I never made it. And and the 1 year where Donnie Allen was like 500 kind of thing, I was like, well, I'm kind of a little bit offended because I was still kind of getting the push then, or what was it, 94, 95, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I'm kind of a little offended because it seems sexy,
right,
to put Donnie Allen in, because he was like, everybody knew he got beat up every single week. But Stephen Bishop, whatever his name is, the fucking kings, the queens, the fucking pawns, I don't know that. I don't know that fucking guy from Shaggy Boom Bottoms, whatever his name is.
I love how the name has evolved as the show is going on.
Well, who was number one?
Who the fuck knows this? Who the fuck's ever gonna know this guy's name? I just love the fact that Aaron said that he's gonna be a tag team with Mr. Ooh La La. Dude, I'm gonna have nightmares about that.
Aaron said who was number one. Number one in 2001, Kurt Angle.
Well, I mean, how can you argue?
And number two was Steve Austin, and that makes sense because those two had the best matches of 2001. So there you go.
And
The best chemistry of 2001.
and that's when he came back, right? Austin?
No, yeah. Because he had come back in late 2000.
Was that when he was heel, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Kurt and Steve had the best chemistry in 2001, too. I think. They're little, like, both of them were fucking hurt, and they were still fucking...
the most entertaining thing on the
show.
With the little cowboy hat and the thing that's great about that is that feud and Chad, you can tell me if I'm wrong or if you agree or what have you, but the rivalry between Angle and Austin is how you properly use comedy in wrestling. Because there was comedic aspects to it, but when it came down to the actual fight, the actual, we're going to get in the ring and have a match, the physicality comes into play. Like they never lost themselves. They never lost themselves, their characters, into the comedy, if that makes sense.
I mean, well, let's be honest. Who was a greater fit for pro wrestling when they broke in than Kurt Angle?
Nobody.
Who took to it like Kurt Angle did? I don't know. I mean, you can arguably say Ronda, but Ronda was nowhere near as smooth as Kurt Angle was.
Or Brock.
Well, Brock also had the benefit of dealing with Cornette.
True.
So he had that in his back pocket as far as like learning the business,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Kurt, there was nobody better than Kurt. I mean, nobody took to that job better than Kurt did.
All right, guys. Let's put a bow on this shit. Want to thank everybody for joining us, and thank Chad for joining us here.
I don't know what happened.
Thank you all for drinking with us and hanging out with us.
My new mission in life. My new mission now is to track down the actual Silky Boom Boom.
And to track down the actual.
It's my new mission. I want to track him down, and I want to interview him.
Silky Boom Boom?
Yes.
I'll get on it.
I want to track down Silky Boom Boom, and I want to interview him and ask him about all the aspects of his career. I don't know what happened to Chad.
I don't either. That's okay. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Chad Austin, thank you for joining us. We'll try to connect with him when we sign off for this edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. It became more than I thought it was going to be because we had no idea what we were going to do going into it. But sometimes that's the best shows.
Yes.
So, Aaron, thank you for joining me. Chad Austin, thank you for joining me. And we'll see you next time, everybody, on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. The We Can't Wrestle podcast is a production of Maxin' Out Media. All rights reserved.